and you look at what's going on in Chicago, what the hell is going on in Chicago?
They waited, and I probably have another one. They say there's a young woman, a young in Atlanta. And they say, I guess they say that she was after a certain gang, and she ended up having an affair with the head of the gang or a gang member. And this is a person that wants to indict me. She's got a lot of problems, but she wants to indict me to try and run for some other office. What's going on in this country is, and by the way, wants to indict me for a perfect phone call. This was even better than my perfect call with Ukraine.
Donald Trump just surprised everyone by dropping a rapper hit list no one saw coming, and it's wild that Lil Durk, YSL, and 21 Savage seem to be sitting right at the top of that list. Well, let's get into it. It all started with a comment straight from Trump's mouth.
It's not even conceivable. That's worse than Afghanistan, I hate to say it. That's worse than any war zone that we're in by a lot. It makes them look like tame places by comparison, so we're not going to let it go on. We're not supposed to wait for them to call, but they don't call.
Trump wasn't holding back, no filter. After returning to the White House in 2024, Trump's crime crackdown has turned really aggressive. Without dropping any names, his words hit Chicago hard, and that's where Lil Durk's name started floating around hard. The feds came down hard, saying Durk and his crew weren't just rapping, they were moving like a whole setup. We're talking indictments, surveillance, wires, texts, informants. They started painting OTF as a street business, and in the middle of it, they're saying Durk's the one calling shit. But it didn't just come out of nowhere. This whole thing has been building since 2020. That was when King Von, Durk's right-hand man and real-life brother in loyalty, got taken out in Atlanta. That one hit different. They came up together, rode through the dirt, and built something from scratch. So when Von got dropped, everybody waited to see what Durk was gonna do. Fast forward to August 2022. Another situation popped off. This time in LA, the victim, a dude named Xavier Robinson, aka Lou Pab. Turns out Pab was related to Quando Rondo, the same Quando who was tied to Von's situation. So folks started doing the math, and yeah, the numbers added up to one thing: retaliation. Was Quando the real target and Pap just caught it in the middle? Nobody confirmed it, but folks didn't need paperwork to start talking. The energy on the streets already had it figured out, and then, boom, October 2024, Durk was chilling in Florida. Out of nowhere, feds swooped in and cuffed him up. But get this, just hours before they grabbed Durk, 5 of his guys from OTF already got picked up. That ain't random. This was a setup from the top down. And sure enough, soon after that, a federal indictment out of LA was officially on deck. They said Durk and his team were living a double life, performing in the day, operating at night. Then the plot got deeper. The feds linked Durk to a 2022 case involving a dude named Stephon Mack. Mack got taken out outside the Youth Peace Center in Roseland, Chicago. Now, even though Durk didn't get charged with that directly, the feds say there's a connection. Texts, witness statements, phone logs, all pointing in his direction. And that's what let the Rico charge breathe.
Chicago rapper Lil Durk could be linked to a second for hire plot, this time in Chicago. These are images of who and killed Stephon Mack in 2022. Prosecutors say Mack was outside the Youth Peace Center of Roseland when he was gunned down. The FBI linked the 2 men charged with Mack's to Durk using texts and confidential informants. The feds believe this was revenge for the death of Lil Durk's brother.
So let's break that down. Under Rico, you don't have to do the crime yourself. If they think you gave the order, booked the travel, or just made the plan happen, you're in the net. That's what makes this type of case so sticky. And where does Trump come in? He's been loud about crime, especially in cities like Chicago, since day one. Even before he got the seat back, he was talking heavy.
And you look at what's going on in Chicago, what the hell is going on in Chicago?
And Durk was the most vocal about it, and he even clapped back at Trump.
Because there's violence everywhere. You can get self-defense everywhere, you can anywhere, you can stab anywhere, you can choke anywhere, you can anywhere. It just, every city has their moment of the rates. Like, every city has their rates. If you look up right now, who got the most right now in Chicago, probably.
Right.
That back and forth didn't get brushed off. According to several sources, Trump ain't let it go, and now that Durk is sitting in jail with court dates creeping and Trump back at the top, people are talking. Some think this whole thing feels personal. Trump has a weird relationships with rappers. He uses them for his own gain, and those who don't bend face the consequences. Some are saying Trump has had a list, and Durk's name was already circled after that public jab. And when you think about how Trump moved with people who crossed him before, people in his own cabinet even, this theory starts to hit different. Because if he could take down folks in his own inner circle, circle, what's a rapper from Chicago that called him out on record? That's how deep this could go. But what's even crazier, it might not stop with Durk. That indictment didn't just point at one man. It outlined a structure. And if the feds are looking at that model as proof of how artists and their crews are operating, it's only a matter of time before Atlanta gets next up. And who's tied into that? Quando Rondo. Here's the thing. Quando already pleaded out to some substance charges back in 2023. He's doing 33 months right now and got 3 more years of supervision after that. So he's already flagged.
And rapper Quando Rondo, whose real name is Tyquan Bowman, will serve 33 months in prison. He pled guilty to federal conspiracy charges back in August.
While folks were still trying to wrap their heads around Durk's situation, things started pointing to a bigger picture. Because the second it stopped feeling like just a Chicago street takedown, rumors lit up about this being part of a deeper sweep, with even YSL on the list. They are already fighting for air in Georgia. And if you've been following, you know that case has been real loud. Rico talk, street affiliations, music lyrics, all of it in court. Young Thug and his camp battled hard. Now with Trump back in the Oval Office, pushing this clean the streets narrative again, it's no surprise folks are saying he's trying to set the stage to make examples out of high-profile rappers. But then Trump decided to take it a step further, and that's when things really got messy. During a rally in New Hampshire, Trump said something that made the room pause. He didn't call names directly, but if you read between the lines, it wasn't hard to catch the shot. He brought up a young racist woman in Atlanta going after a gang and then turning around and having an affair with one of the members.
They waited, and I probably have another one. They say there's a young woman, a young in Atlanta. And they say, I guess they say that she was after a certain gang, and she ended up having an affair with the head of the gang or a gang member. And this is a person that wants to indict me. She's got a lot of problems, but she wants to indict me to try and run for some other office. What's going on in this country is, and by the way, wants to indict me for a perfect phone call. This was even better than my perfect call with Ukraine.
And just like that, people knew he was talking about Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and her past connection to YSL co-founder Mondo Crenshaw. Now here's where it gets layered. Mondo had done an interview with Rolling Stone back in January where he mentioned that Willis had actually been his defense attorney.
This is before she was a DA.
Yeah, that was before she was a DA.
Right.
Yeah, so when I caught the case or whatever, and I was just looking for different lawyers, and like everybody I was looking at was wanting some 60s, 80,000s and shit like that. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, bro, I don't got 80,000. Like, I'm gonna be flat broke after this, so I'm trying to budget at this point. And I talked to my cousin one day. She was like, hey, I know this lady named Miss Willis. I'm like, cuz I never heard of this lady. Never heard of this lady in my life. So I was kind of skeptical, like, I'm not finna give her 30, 40,000. Like, I never heard of this lady. What cases have she beat? Like, what have she done? So my cousin was like, cuz I'm not gonna introduce you to nobody who's some bull. He's a good lawyer. So I'm like, all right, cuz I'm gonna trust you. And I went with her, bro, and I be damned, she was a good lawyer. So she had pull, man. She knew judges, she knew DAs, and she worked her move, man, and she helped me basically get off of that aggravated assault case.
He never said anything wild about her. Matter of fact, he spoke highly, called their bond as being more like auntie to nephew or even mother to son type vibes. He said that this wasn't her character and that they'd had those kinds of deep talks before.
Having a romantic relationship.
Hell nah, man. Nah. I mean, you know, she's a nice looking lady now, you know, but I ain't never did nothing with this lady, man. Okay. If I did, I don't care saying it. I don't mind saying, yeah, I with it. But nah, man, I ain't had nothing going on with this lady.
There was a rumor that her and Nut had a romantic relationship.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about that. I don't even know where the hell people got that from. And I'm still trying to figure out, like, is it true? Like, I don't know, but you know, people make up all type of shit, so.
He even suggested the whole YSL Rico situation was bigger than just her and had political energy behind it, but Trump flipped it. He allegedly tried to turn that into a scandal, using it to discredit Willis, who's not only leading the charge on the YSL Rico, but also actively investigating him for election fraud in Georgia. According to several media outlets, she was on Trump's heels over a phone call he made in 2020, trying to find votes from the Georgia Secretary of State.
The people of Georgia are angry. The people of the country are angry. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, you know, that you've recalculated, because the 2,236 and absentee ballots, I mean, they're all exact numbers that were done by accounting firms, law firms, etc. And even if you cut them in half, cut them in half, and cut them in half again, it's more votes than we need.
So according to some folks, Trump was just doing what he does best, throwing dirt to take attention off himself. Only problem, that dirt ain't stick. The same Rolling Stone journalist who did the Mondo interview, Andre G., stepped out quick to shut it all down. He said flat out, Mondo didn't say or imply anything close to that at any point in our conversation. So, word is that Trump took a conversation and twisted it for his own play, but the damage already done. Then you got another name floating quietly, 21 Savage. At first glance, some might think 21 don't belong in this mess. He's kept his head down lately, dropped his features, and handled business. But if you rewind to 2019, that's when things really started unfolding for him. ICE picked him up in Atlanta, straight up off the streets during Super Bowl weekend. They held him in custody for almost 2 weeks. The story shocked a lot of people.
Authorities say the rapper, whose real name is Shea bin Abraham Joseph, is from the UK, although he claims to be from Atlanta. Well, federal agents say he entered the U.S. on a visa in 2005 and failed to leave when it expired.
Now, here's what makes that situation deeper than most realized. 21 has been living in the U.S. since he was a kid, but his visa expired a long time ago. Legally, he was undocumented, but there's a path for someone like him to stay here. If you've lived in the U.S. over 10 years, have U.S.-born children, and no criminal record, you can apply for permanent status. And 21 checked all those boxes. His old record got cleared. He's got U.S.-born family, and by every legal standard, that application should have been enough to let him stay. Thing is, under the Bush and Obama administrations, they would let people like him remain in the U.S. while that application was being processed. It takes around 4 years to go through. So you stay, raise your family, keep life moving. But under Trump's administration, that whole energy shifted. According to several outlets, ICE reportedly told 21 he should just leave the country, wait for the application to go through, then come back when it's approved.
What happened?
I don't even know. I was just driving and I just seen guns and blue lights. And then I was in the back of a car and I was gone.
They tell you you're under arrest?
Nah, they didn't say nothing. They just said, we got Savage.
They said, we got Savage.
Yeah.
Sounds like this was potentially something they set out to do, that this would have been targeted and not just a random traffic stop.
It was definitely targeted.
And here's the twist. 21 had already filed that application 4 years before they picked him up. But due to delays and backlogs, it got lost in the system. Just sat there, no movement. So he had to refile a year before ICE grabbed him. So when you connect the dots, it starts to feel like 21 was never just a target for immigration reasons. It felt bigger. He wasn't just some unknown face. They knew exactly who he was. A high-profile rapper with millions of eyes on him. His arrest made national headlines. And for Trump's playbook, it sent the message he wanted. Nobody's above the law, not even artists with billboard plaques. And the pattern's showing. First it was Durk. Now the conversation is stretching to YSL and 21. That's not random. That's the structure. It's only a matter of time before other names get dragged into it. One user said, if it's true, the president is getting involved, that means he was going to beat his case or cases. While another said, Trump got A1 confidential info. But what's your own reaction to this unexpected twist? Sound off in the comments. We're locked in. And if you're here for unfiltered stories and the real talk they don't want you to hear, don't forget to like, subscribe, and dive into the next video waiting for you now.